It's been some time since the last time I made a recording. This is the last time, which has been almost a year probably now. I've wasted my life by our government, corrupted admirals and generals who don't believe that people have freedoms and that and whatever freedoms you have or for their taking. A, a corrupt Democratic Party who views its constituents as nothing more than to be sold off to the highest bidder for votes, who have enslaved Black Americans and then using Black women who are still, here's looking at you, Tabitha, thinking, oh, if Harris had gotten in, if Harris was planning on doing the same thing Biden was doing, which is not upholding the Constitution, which means you'd have lost power. So every bit of attack on me and speaking about her, she's full of shit. They still haven't returned my notes on metaphysics. They're still violating my privacy every time I go to sleep. They're still poisoning me every day to enslave you, you dumb fucks. If you don't like the way I said that, well, I don't like being harassed. I don't like our country trying to turn me into a faggot, something I totally and never have been. So we know because of their behavior, homosexuality isn't a choice. Or I should say, it is a choice, and it is a demonic possession. You know, they have sexually assaulted me. They have assaulted me physically outside of that. They've stolen everything I've ever fucking created. And then to try to keep me from learning anything new. Hey, just sit here and watch these videos. Fuck you guys. You work out, I'm attacked harder. Poisoned almost daily. Well, not almost. I am poisoned daily. So when I finally expire, it looks natural. And, in order to keep this bullshit going, because they think, well, we can get we can keep violating his privacy, violating his person, and use him for our wishes. I don't fucking think so. Meanwhile, every single day, black women are still being their stupid shit. Trump and the oligarchs and the tech bros and the theocrats gain more strength, more power, all because black women want to give power to a bunch of criminals who are still controlled by those same oligarchs, tech bros, and theocrats. Cognitive dissonance is strong with them. Now, you might say this is black women bashing. No, I'm just telling you where it's at. Now, you have Joe Biden, he's on his last days, and I wish him very well. And you're here when cancer metastasizes to your bones, it's extremely painful. I wish him well on his last days. But he stole my soul energy, my soul force for his own uses. And those uses were not things I would accept. So you don't get to use my energy that God gave to me for your evil purposes and then say, here, keep accepting our abuse. I don't think so. That's not what a free person does. We right now are in a constitutional crisis. Day by day, hour by hour, this frog is being boiled. And the choice is psychopathy or humanity. Demonic possession, if you're more theocratic, or being human. And right now, everyone's running down the demonic possession because that's what the theocrats want. They want to create this whole idea of, well, we'll bring Jesus here, we'll create a war, and then, you know, with the dialectical thinking of the IAP, and Jesus will return and we'll all go to heaven. You're demonically possessed. What makes you think you're going to go to heaven for doing demonic shit? Just doesn't make any sense. But it makes sense from a certain point of view at the same time. Zealots, once they born again, seven demons roll into theirs into what was once their castle. They see the light, then they become the dark once again. So I'm going to begin doing more of these audios again, and keep track. But we have this situation. There was another thing I was going to explain. Elon, they've gone out of the way to keep me from explaining how Elon Musk and all those tech bros are, when they stole our data, how that data, you know, with it was funny. One of McRaven's agents couldn't understand the simplistic statement that um, they've been blocking my brain. It's been slowing down. Something's been up. Whatever they've been poisoning me with lately has been designed to shut my nervous system down, um, especially in the last 3 or 4 days. Also, I think that's a bit due to also where they've dislocated my lower lumbar. But the simple idea is you can't have randomness in a computer program starts with a number. You, you can't have randomness from nothing. So when we do quantum computing, you get randomness through the quantum. So you get randomness. Your randomness is the starting point of infinity, which is the universe itself. And then you can say that's God, and it's looking for consciousnesses. Because there's a point within a machine learning algorithm, you have to create a random number. Now, when we get to quantum computing, that moment where we create a random number or, will then be done instantaneously because our randomness is done through the universe. And this is why these tech bros, and you always see sci-fi, think, well, we could put our mind into the computer because we can then replicate the randomness and just transfer consciousness, which is random. but not random, into into this random generating machine once it's complex enough. That's why they're keeping themselves all asleep and stuff. Hopefully, hoping that hoping a large enough AI can replicate their form of random, and then they can just jump back into their body. So afraid of death because they never really lived life. Don't get me wrong, I'm not one to go rolling into like, oh gosh, I want to go see the white light at the end of the tunnel. No, I actually wanted to go live my life. I still want to go live my life. And evil, psychopathy, demonically possessed persons, both on the right and left, they want to steal your energy soul for their own uses. Right now, they're acting as if um, they're not going to attack me. Well, bullshit. As soon as I get the numbers back up to zero, but here, as far as trading, I guarantee you, not even up to zero, make a positive trading day, they're going to come hardcore hammer smash with the freaking poisoning and all the other crap they were doing before. Our country is evil, and it's not so much about um, manifest destiny and all that other stuff. No, America's evil. There was only a couple of years there, and even then it was with with segregation. Psychopaths keep trying to find ways to externalize because they can't compete. They'll find other ways, but it's not so easy if they can't use a visual externalization. Since we know they are not older than a 1 year old. All the thing about the Constitution and all this other, it's a bunch of bullshit. We live in a prison country. And people like McRaven try to turn this country into their image, and their image is shit. Their image is just hate. And then we're like, well, we treat white people right because this is a white country for white people, blah, blah, fucking blah, 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 fucking blah. If we're New Rome, then it was nothing to do with being white. White's not even a concept. It's something European Americans, especially Scottish, picked up from, and Irish picked up from the Mohammedans. That's why I guess, then you got the Mohammedans over there being just as shitty. And then you have the caste system in India. In general, humanity is really, we're just really been a shitty bunch of fucking monkeys. It's surprising we even got this far. So I'm making this one at 2:35 a.m. and I had um, went to sleep around 11 p.m. It was right about 1 o'clock. Woke me up. Hands are all tightened up because I know somebody was in the room. No dream state. And because the thing is, usually as you fall asleep, there's a point, and you can sit there right at that point where you're about to fall asleep. You can sit right in there and you can go into your dream states. I blow right through that. That means I'm being poisoned before I can get into that moment. Trump thinks all these tariffs make America great. Yeah, we're looking tough to the world. I'm sitting there reading one guy's thing, reading it, and it's like all these things that he thinks Trump is doing and how he's making. I'm like, dude, you got it all backwards. So now it comes down which authoritarian do you want, Chinese or American or the Europeans? Russia's going after the Europeans to remove them from the board. He's already separated UK out. UK's thinking, okay, well, if I don't have to deal with them, with Europe, it's the theocrats are doing their whole 12 kings thing or whatever. They're all about prophecy. I see the future. Oh, please spare me. If you twist the Bible around just enough to fit into your theoretic, into your dialectical view, you can make it say anything. I'm not saying that the Bible is not divinely inspired, but a lot of their bullshit isn't. Trump's never leaving. He'll go to jail if he does. And every single day, we slip further and further and MAGA keeps thinking it's more and more correct, which means they'll become extremely violent. We're running out of time. And traders like McRaven, he should have never become an admiral. And yeah, I still think Biden's a traitor. I don't think I'd say he is because he's violated my privacy, violated my rights for years. Them and the Democrats and the Clintons. Who knows, even Bush, but it was definitely like who wrote the Patriot Act? The Republicans might have put it in, but it was written under the Democrats and the Republicans, but it was definitely written under the Democrats. And I would not be surprised if McRaven and the intelligence community went, let's keep this a little squared away, because he knew they had the Patriot Act ready to rock and roll. He's he's just trying to cover his ass and what a traitor he is. Him and his predecessors in the Admiralty. So, anyways, that's it for the day. I'm gonna start doing these more often again. You know, they'll chop this up, put it through AI, and make it something else. But because they're thinking, oh, it gets ratings, we can make money, and then we'll tell him, we'll give him what we let him have. And like, no, motherfucker, you stole my personality, then you try to change it for your own thing. No, you're gonna stop violating my privacy. You stop stealing my personality, and I'm taking all my money. Period. Full fucking stop.